Hey, Wendy. What happened at the hospital?
We want to talk. Hi.
What happened at the hospital? Are you okay?
We want to talk.
Cognitively impaired, you know what I'm saying? No, but I feel like I am in prison. You understand what I'm saying?
As evidenced by her recent fiery live interview in which she responded to a judge's alleged threats, Wendy Williams has never been one to hold back. Despite ongoing battles over her finances and personal well-being, the former talk show queen refused to be silenced and clapped back at the legal system with her trademark boldness. Wendy took the dispute head-on, pointing out what she believes to be unfair treatment and stating unequivocally that she is prepared to fight back.
Hours after our TMZ documentary dropped on Tubi about Wendy Williams, the wheels are now in motion to end her guardianship. We found out that Wendy has just signed an affidavit formally asking the judge to terminate the guardianship. She says, and these are the words in this affidavit, we're told, that she has regained her capacity to function normally. It's true, a couple of years ago, she did not have that capacity. But anybody who watches this documentary, I think it's going to be clear that has all changed. She seems like the old Wendy right now.
Now Lisa Soff, Wendy Williams' guardianship judge, has suggested sending Wendy to a different facility, raising questions about her degree of independence, and has threatened to place even more limitations on the former television icon when she made the conditions of her residential facility public. In an email that TMZ was able to receive, I have consistently argued that we should be granted the independence she can manage, and I wonder how effectively she has managed the independence she has been granted, the judge said.
The judge in her guardianship, not her guardian, the judge declared her legally and permanently incapacitated. That after Wendy was diagnosed as having dementia. But dementia is a progressively deteriorating disease. And Wendy has improved since getting that diagnosis in 2022.
There's some good news, honey, for Wendy Williams. It looks like she's one step closer to getting her freedom. Yay! Now, she reportedly signed y'all papers asking the judge to end her conservatorship now. And next week, she'll be evaluated by a doctor picked by her new legal team, who she hired y'all to set things right.
Williams broke down in tears when she heard this news and expressed her frustration, saying she would keep it PG even though she wanted to talk more candidly about the situation. She questioned the judge's reasoning, asking, "Give me a more restrictive environment." She was referring to the Manhattan residential facility, which she currently resides in and has previously referred to as a prison.
I'm still in prison, so to speak. I can't go out. You have to have keys to open the door.
This morning, I spoke with Nightline co-anchor Byron Pitts, who just interviewed Wendy for an ABC News doc that dropped today on Hulu.
How's she doing, in your opinion?
My sense was she's doing okay. Clearly, there are things in her life that got her to where she is now. And is she fully past that, as many people seem to think? I'm not sure about that.
It's really expensive where I am. $18,000 a month out of my money.
This that isn't working. Wendy describes where she's staying as a luxury prison. Her guardian counters that she's receiving the best care there and that it was all mandated by the judge. Well, Wendy is able to use the phone in her unit at the assisted care facility and has been giving a lot of interviews over the last couple of months. Wendy denies being incapacitated and she sounds relatively clear. I'm not a BSer. She's not as sharp as she was when she was doing the Wendy Williams show, but she doesn't seem out of it.
In a recent pre-recorded interview on The View, Williams, 60, the former talk show host, expressed strong opposition to her court-appointed guardianship. Williams has been under guardianship since 2022 after receiving a primary care diagnostic and a dementia diagnosis. She contends that she is not intellectually challenged and that the guardianship has unfairly restricted her, refuting assertions that she is incapacitated. Making arrangements, Williams expressed displeasure over limitations that keep her from resuming her work, comparing her circumstances to being in prison.
Hospital in the first place.
Well, I went to the hospital. I was having a little agina, and to go to the hospital. Look, where I live, you know what I'm saying, at this memory unit on this floor. I just needed a breath of fresh air. You know what I'm saying? I needed to see the doctors. So that's why I went to the hospital.
I see.
You know?
All right.
And then while I was at the hospital, I also got blood drawn for my thyroid, you know. But most importantly, you know what I'm saying, being at the hospital, it was my choice to get an independent evaluation on my incapacitation.
Williams recently challenged the guardianship through an independent medical evaluation, arguing that she passed the psychiatric assessment. She chastised her guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, for the restrictions placed on her, including placing her in a memory care unit, which she believes is unsuitable given her age and condition. In an effort to recover control over her personal and professional life, Williams is aggressively working to have the guardianship terminated.
There's some unusual activity going on in Wendy's bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Wells Fargo froze the account and initiated a guardianship.
Okay, and that's where the guardianship happened. And I didn't mind it at that time at all because it's about my money and keeping my money safe. You understand what I'm saying? But at this point in my life, I want to terminate guardianship and move on with my life, if that's possible at all.
And so because it was a voluntary guardianship in the beginning, it was fine because Wendy wanted to get some protection with her finances and get things together. What ended up happening was Wendy didn't realize that this person was going to take her whole entire life.
There are rights that the guardian has to tell the courts whether or not they should be restricted. The essence of guardianship is to act in the best interest of the vulnerable adult. So I'm going to go down the list of rights that I have to tell the judge whether or not the person should have the rights or retain their rights or lose their rights. The right to marry or divorce, the right to reside in a place of their choosing, the vulnerable adult choosing, and consent or withhold consent to any residential or custodial placement, the right to travel without the consent of a guardian, the right to give, withhold, or withdraw consent, and make other informed decisions relative to medical, mental, or physical examination.
Williams also resisted assertions that she has any true freedom, calling them untrue and insisting that they are lying. She also added that her guardian restricts who is allowed to visit her, including denying close family members access. Williams characterized her life under guardianship as extremely constrained, stating that she rarely receives visits, cannot leave the 5th floor of the facility without an attendant, and has no access to the internet or phone calls.
Williams crying panicked in an assisted living facility where she claims she's only been let outside twice in 30 days and she's not allowed to have visitors. Now this is all happening because similar to Britney Spears, her family filed to put her in a guardianship where they had full control over her money and her care, and they put her away in this assisted living facility. She was able to communicate from her room that she feels that her family is taking advantage of her for monetary gain, and I don't think guardianships in and of themselves are necessarily bad things, but I think when you have family members who have everything to gain from you going into a guardianship under them, that it's almost inevitable that they're going to be taken advantage of. But that's my opinion. Let me know what you think about this in the comments.
I feel like I'm in New York City, right? And by the way, my apartment has been sold, thank God, you know, a while ago. But I'm in this place where the people are in their 90s and their 80s and their 70s, and even when people are 60 like me, hey, I'm sexy and gorgeous.
That's
you know,
right.
I am 60. Look, please, July 18th, 1964, honey. But look, these people, I don't care if they're 50 and 60. They have look, there's something wrong with these people here on this floor. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She can call us. We can't call her. That's been the reality since 2023.
Wow.
That room that she's sitting in, she's there every day, all hours of the day, every week,
Concerns regarding possible conflicts of interest have been raised by Judge Sukoff's receipt of nearly $6,000 in campaign donations from guardianship attorneys, law firms, and parties involved in guardianship cases between 2019 and 2022. These same parties were given 62 appointments in 2022.
I'm down on where Wendy Williams is at right now. It is, in my estimation, often criminal. It is criminal what happens to many of the up to 2 million Americans who are in guardianship right now. I mean, when your viewers need to realize when you're guardianized, you're declared an incapacitated ward of the court. All of your civil rights are taken away, like freedom of speech, the ability to hire your own lawyer, to decide where you're going to live. You get no more civil rights. And then the court takes all of your assets, no matter how much or how little you have, and they put those assets in the name of a guardian. Well, that guardian may be a total stranger, as it is in Wendy Williams' case.
Williams was rushed to the hospital earlier this week after waving from her window and leaving a message that said, "Help." Williams, who was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia, has maintained that she is not incompetent and does not belong in a guardianship. Wendy is adamant about restricting her liberty even after passing a recent cognitive exam.
Of other news, former talk show host Wendy Williams has been hospitalized following a wellness check by authorities here in New York. Police responding to a 911 call at her assisted living facility about a woman in distress. She reportedly dropped a note out her window saying, "Help, Wendy." She was taken to the hospital for a cognitive exam, walking on her own to the ambulance there. She has previously been diagnosed with dementia.
Following a troubling episode in which she allegedly threw a handwritten note that read "Help" out of the window of her assisted living home, Wendy Williams was recently spotted dining with her niece Alex Finney at Tua, a restaurant in New York City.
My niece Alex.
Okay. How do you feel about the Free Wendy movement?
I didn't know about it. Fabulous.
Fabulous.
So, our recent events have been unbelievable. Talk about it.
We came back from dinner and apparently police were called. But I was told that at some point, police were called because the coterie here was saying allegedly that I took my aunt from this facility and whisked her away without any sort of confirmation or approval. Which according to everything that we have learned in terms of this whole situation, wondering exactly how that correlates with the statements that the guardian has made that Wendy is able to come and go as she pleases.
Right.
And that there are no family visits that are blocked.
Morris's attorney has disputed media reports that claim they are false, inaccurate, partial, or misleading. The attorney claimed that Williams is getting excellent medical care and that she lives in a facility with a spa, dining area, outdoor terraces, and top-notch food. They also said that Williams has been permitted to visit her family twice in Florida.
Williams' assisted living rep blasting the media for inaccurate information. I see him talking about her on the Breakfast Club. I was wondering what was going on.
Yo, do you know Wendy Williams' guardian has just broken silence? She wants to just know that her and Wendy are the best of friends. And don't you know, we haven't been holding her hostage. We've sent her down to go see her father's and to go to her for her father's birthday and her son's graduation. Mind you, they sent her down with not a penny in her pocket, not even a debit card. They are spending Wendy's money on whatever they want and not giving her a penny back. You guys, this is a fast, in my opinion, crumbling con. I think the judge is in on it. I definitely know Sabrina, the guardian's in on it. And I think that law firm that handles this type of things is 100%.
In addition, Morrissey has been embroiled in a legal dispute with Lifetime Entertainment, A&E television networks, and other producers of the documentary series. According to the lawsuit, Williams was unable to provide his consent to be a part of the production since he was in a vulnerable situation throughout filming. Morrissey claims that the documentary took advantage of Williams' medical conditions and was produced and released without a legitimate contract or her consent.
He was last seen in public at a holistic store back in August, taking a photo with a fan in New Jersey. The former talk show host was also the subject of a Lifetime documentary that was criticized for showing Wendy at her lowest, looking out of it, and perhaps not fully aware of what was going on.
We all make choices in life. We all go through our challenges.
The lawsuit was filed by Wendy's court-appointed legal guardian and apparently was triggered by those heartbreaking scenes in the documentary where Wendy was seen looking out of it and perhaps not fully aware of what was going on.
The court papers seek an injunction and a temporary restraining order and reveals for the first time the identity of Wendy's guardian. She is New York attorney Sabrina Morrissey, who specializes in guardianship and estates.
I was literally just reporting that there was something fishy about the release of Wendy Williams' diagnosis of having dementia and aphasia, and the timing of that was almost as if they were trying to discredit this documentary that's about to be released. Well, now, according to TMZ, it looks like Wendy's legal guardian, that's not her family, is trying to put a halt on the release of this Lifetime documentary. So according to TMZ, a lawsuit was just filed against Lifetime's parent company, A&E. They said a woman named Sabrina Morrissey, who says she's acting in the capacity as a temporary guardian of WWH, presumably Wendy Williams Hunter, just filed a lawsuit against A&E television networks, but she did it under seal, meaning the public can't peep what exactly she's running to court for. TMZ says there are a few clues that could indicate what this might be about, and all signs seem to point to some connection with the Where is Wendy Williams two-part documentary that's dropping on.
According to reports, Maury, the court-appointed guardian, has only got $300,000 for managing Williams' case. She currently oversees 23 other guardianships. Morris's handling of the matter has drawn criticism from Williams' 24-year-old son, who has expressed worries that his mother is not getting the care she needs.
Williams' guardian has broken silent amid New York agency investigations. She said, as New York agencies investigate Wendy Williams' guardianship, the lawyer for her court-appointed guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, if you have anyone that is being cared for by Sabrina, you need to run and go and get an independent evaluation too. Sabrina Morrissey is pushing back, reported calling recent media coverage untrue, inaccurate, incomplete, and misleading. I think that is all lies. Now, here's the gag. I think that anybody that knows anything about court is rolling their eyes saying, Sabrina, baby girl, you are done for, okay? However, and this is the most important thing.
In 2022, Williams was placed under conservatorship after her bank asserted that she was at risk of financial exploitation and incompetent. After a 14-year run, The Wendy Williams Show was unexpectedly canceled. Despite Williams' ongoing struggle for freedom, the controversy surrounding her guardianship is still a contentious issue.
Breaking news. Wendy Williams is being described as permanently incapacitated due to her battle with dementia and aphasia. Her guardian, attorney Sabrina Morrissey, made the disturbing revelation in court filings.
Did you see a neurologist to find out if I'm crazy?
Oh my God, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. I have to sit down again.
She was put in front of a judge and given a guardian. That was when they took her away from us.
I have no money, and I'm going to tell you something. If it happens to me, it could happen to you.
As her family, we were all sitting on the sidelines watching, and she was crying out for help.
Did you drink this whole thing today?
Keep it there.
Do you believe there is more to the story, or do you admire Wendy Williams' courageous answer to the judge? Leave your comments below with your opinions.